Okay, today is Saturday, September 28th, and today I learned something that I just found interesting. Today the first thing that I learned was that I heard a song lyric, and basically it said something along the lines of, as we get older, the world is getting faster. And that is just so, I don't know, that's interesting. The fact that as we get older, we're in a way getting slower and we are declining, because there's another quote I've heard, like, every day that we live is a day that we are declining and a day that we are deteriorating in a way. I don't know if this makes sense, but as we get older, we are slowly like aging, right? And getting slower. But as we are getting slower, the world is getting faster, and the society, the civilization is getting faster. So we're just like going away from each other. But every time a new person is born, they're kind of reset to where the world is, but then they are slowly, like, no one can keep up with the world. Except we do, because we are what are creating this world in a way. I don't know. It's just something that tickled my brain. It tickled my brain. The fact that as we get older, we can't really keep up with the world. But we also can, because we are part of the world and we are creating this world. Like, all of the new, like, technologies and stuff like that is getting faster and better. And we're what is creating that. At least some of us is what is creating that. But then the majority of us is declining away from that and getting slower. Like, yeah, going away from that. So there are certain people that are, not directly impacting how the world is progressing, and we're kind of just declining away from that. And then there are certain people who are progressing the world and are making it go faster. So, like, which group are you in? I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing to making the world go faster. I don't know if that's a good thing. Because it is good, because you're, like, coming up with new technologies and, like, progressing the world and adding to the world is very, like, that's a good thing. Like, you're progressing life. I've talked about this before, when, like, you're creating something, you're adding something to the world. And that's, like, cool. You're adding your own value to the world. So in a way, it is good that way. But also, this world is also declining. Like, this world is passing away and is going to pass away. So is it really that important to be adding to the world and trying to get it as far as it can be until it eventually passes away? Like, what is better? Do you focus more on yourself and improving yourself, or do you focus more on improving the world? Because improving yourself, specifically if you think about, like, your soul, improving your soul and, like, where your soul is going to be, if you improve that, then that has such a important value of, like, where you're going to be, like, the value of your soul. But then also, if you're improving the world, like, that is very, like, in a selfless way, like, you're trying to improve the world and add to the world and not necessarily add to yourself, like, that is also good. So, I don't know. Because I do think that ultimately it is better to have your top priority be the status of your soul. Like, where's your soul going to be when you die? That's something I've talked about before, because if you don't know, I'm a Christian, and so I like to think about these things and I like to think about how the world works and how we should be going about the world, or going about life. So yeah, I do think it should be your top priority to know where your soul is going to be and have that peace of mind of knowing where your soul is going to be after you die, and building a relationship with God and, like, all that kind of thing. But underneath that, it is also, I do think it's important to add to the world, because first of all, we are humans, right? We are creative beings, so we should be creating something, and creating is adding to the world. So I do think we should be creating and adding to the world in a selfless way, like trying to improve the world, trying to make the world better. But then also, we should be improving ourselves. Like, we want to be good human beings. We want to be, I would say that is a common goal of everybody to be good at life, right? We all want to be good at life. We all want to be mentally healthy, physically healthy, digitally healthy. We want to be good at life. So we also want to be improving ourselves and our own skills, but we also want to be improving the skills of others and the selves of others, and improving society as a whole. Yeah, it's weird because the more I think about it, the more I think prioritize improving yourself. Because if you have, okay, I'm going to put an example here. Jesus was perfect, right? And he was in the midst of a evil world. He was in the midst of this world, this sinful world. But because he was perfect, he was the perfect human being. Like, that didn't really affect him. So in a way, it's more important to prioritize yourself over the world around you, because if you are good at living within a sinful world, then you will still be good at living. Oh boy. But then if you have a good world, then I guess it's less of a priority to be good at living, because if the world is good to live in anyways, then you'll always be good at living. I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm kind of just rambling. But I think I don't know. I'm just trying to think about the relationship between improving ourselves and improving the world. Like what is more important? Is it more important to improve the world? Because in a way, yeah, it's definitely more important to improve the world and make sure that the world is a good place for people to live in. Like, we want to be doing that. We want to be adding value to the world and making it a livable environment. But we also want to be improving ourselves. We also want to be improving our soul, improving our physical self, improving our mental self, because that determines how we live through this world. I don't know which one. For me, improving yourself takes more priority, because I think it's more important for me to know that I'm going to go to a good place after I die than for me to know that I'm in a good place right now. Because this is not our home. This is not my home. This is not my permanent living environment, this world. So for me, I think it is more important to be improving myself. Because if I have a good peace of mind and knowledge of where I'm going to be, after this world passes away, then that is ultimately more important. So, I do think improving yourself takes priority in a more general, in a more, in a deeper sense, in a more, purpose of life sense. I do think it's more important to be improving your soul. But on a lower level, on a more casual sense, I guess, it is important to be improving the world. I'm not saying it's not important. It's still important to be doing that, because if okay, I guess prioritizing either one over the other is still going to result in a good thing, as long as everyone agrees. I guess. Oh no. So if everybody was focused on improving themselves and having a good soul status and having a good personal, mental, whatever status, then this would be a good environment to live in, because we can all interact with each other in a positive and wholesome way. Now, obviously, that's impossible, because not everyone's going to do that, but this is a hypothetical. But then also, if everybody was focused on improving the world and improving the status of the society, yes, it does make this a good environment to live in, but the world is not, our society and the status of our civilization is not a priority, because it may be a comfortable life, but it won't be a good life. Because first of all, relationships are everything. So many studies have shown that the thing that old people regret the most is not being with their family and being with friends more. So relationships are everything in life. So that's the first thing. But also, like I said before, this world is passing away, and this world is going to pass away. So you need to know where you're going to go after this world passes away. You need to know what's after that. and you need to prepare for the upcoming situation of that. So I guess my conclusion has come to improve yourself before you improve the world. Now, my problem with this is, like, I have logically thought through this. You've seen that I've thought through this throughout this video. But that just sounds so selfish. That sounds so like I prioritize myself over the world. Now, when I say it like that, yeah, that makes more sense. Because when you think of the world in like a worldly sense, like a sinful sense, then I'm like, yeah, I would prioritize myself and my own soul status over the worldliness of the world. But the world is made up of other people, and the world is, in a way, like, the world is the product of the work of other people. So is that me saying I'm prioritizing myself over others when it literally says in the Bible to think of others as more than yourselves? But then that is in a more micro sense, I guess. Okay, I figured it out. In the macro, if we think about the grand scheme of things, the grand scheme of life, the grand scheme of the purpose of life, focus on yourself. Focus on your soul status and where you're going to go after the world passes away. Like, focus on that in the grand scheme of things. Make sure you are wrestling with that. But in the micro sense, we need to be prioritizing others over ourselves. Like, in our daily lives, we need to be making sure that within the simple interactions, we need to be prioritizing other people over ourselves. And in terms of the world and in terms of advancing society, I would say that that is lowest on the priority list. Because in the grand scheme of things, make sure you know your soul status. In the daily interactions with other people, in the daily relationships, make sure you're prioritizing others over yourself. And then, I guess, what you decide to do during your time in the day, try to improve the world, try to add something to the world. That's what I'm doing with this channel. I'm trying to add value to you guys who do make up this world. So I'm just trying to add value and add valuable information and helpful information that help you live better lives. I'm adding that to the world. So that's kind of my third thing. Okay. Another thing that I was thinking about today was just thinking in the long term. Like, I think we need to live our lives in the long term. Think of your life, look at your life in the long term. Because in the long term, you're going to hate that you spent 5 hours a day scrolling on your phone, right? So think of your life in the long term. Make the decisions that your long-term future self would want you to make. Because in the end, that is ultimately what matters, right? This goes back to what I was saying. In the grand scheme of things, make sure you're prioritizing your soul status and figuring out, wrestling with the idea of where you're going to go after this is all said and done. So live your life in the long term. So now let's get into actionable advice. What can you do tomorrow? What can you do within the following weeks that can help you take advantage and utilize this information? So just to recap, I said that our priorities in this life should be, in the overall grand scheme of things, prioritize your soul status. And an action point for that is to just live your life in the long term. Look at your life through the long-term lens. Because ultimately, those are the decisions that you're going to want to make for your future self. So live your life, look at your life through the long-term lens, and prioritize your long-term future. The second thing that I said was that right below the macro, right below this long-term version of yourself, what are you doing during your daily? Like, through your daily interactions, your priority should be others. You should be prioritizing others over yourself and not being selfish. So your action point is to prioritize others over yourself. Try to, I guess as a way to make this a little bit more actionable, try to, every interaction you make with someone, try to remember, okay, how can I prioritize this person before myself within this interaction? Just try to be more conscious of that. And then the third thing that I said was that below prioritizing your soul status and below prioritizing others over yourself, prioritize just adding to the world. Add to this world so that others can live better lives, whether that is through something like this, where I'm just trying to help you guys live better lives, like through actionable advice, or maybe that is through sharing things you have created. I guess your action point for this is to just create. Add something to the world, because it doesn't have to be like content, like it doesn't have to be like media. It doesn't have to be videos or podcasts or music. It could literally be anything. Just create and add something to the world and publicize it. Whether that is something like this, like a YouTube channel, whether that is music, whether that is video games, whether that is an app, a social media marketing agency. Like, just add something, build something, and publicize it to the world. The easiest way you can do this is to literally just show your work. What is something that you love building, that you love working on, and just put it somewhere. Publicize it, show it to the world, add it to the world, because others will benefit from that, because everybody has value to add to the world. That is what I have to say today. If you like this video, then click the like button. If you want to see more videos like these, where I kind of just talk about what I learned today and how I'm trying to implement it into my life and how you guys can implement it into yours. So if you want to see those kinds of videos, then subscribe, because I'm posting every single day, daily insights. I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.